What's going on? How's everyone doing? Today, what I want to run through is the reasons why most of us aren't getting as many referrals as what we would like. And most of us feel that, as you should, that if you do a good job, referrals should come in. That's the main driver of them. But in reality, and from the public side of things, or our past client or our sphere side of things, that's not the main thing that they're looking at. So today, what I want to run through is how do we increase what I like to call your referability index? And how do we break this down into the core reasons why people refer us? And obviously, how do we increase this? How do we increase the likelihood of getting referrals? So what I put together and a framework that I use is something I like to call a trusted agent. And I want to spend a few minutes running through that so you have a better idea of the psychology behind referrals and what past clients in your sphere are actually looking for before they feel comfortable referring you. So a couple of things that we're going to run through. What does it mean to become a trusted advisor? The home buyer and seller psychology, their main fears, and then the result of how we get that. So in here, I have what I like to call a trusted 12, which is a year-long handwritten card campaign of the 4 different pillars and different roles we need to step into to become someone who is a trusted agent. And it's built on over 20 years of research and behavior psychology. So this isn't something that I made up on my own. This is backed by science. So the number one thing that we need to try to aim for is becoming a trusted agent. And someone wrote a good book about this. Is actually 3 different people, called The Trusted Advisor. And what they found through all the research and personal experience is, in order to have the best bond, to have that client experience where you get to the end of it and you feel like you just had an amazing experience, was when people had a complete open door, meaning that the trusted advisor or the real estate agent in this scenario was completely non-judgmental. Their clients called them first when something big happens, whether it's a crisis, a happy moment, a big change, a win, a loss, whatever it may be. But that bond between them was judgment free. They felt like they could come to them with anything. And it sounds like a small difference, but in reality, it's not. The gap between being the agent that somebody calls when something real estate related happens compared to someone that they can call and they feel like they can confide in you when real estate may be on the fringes of that idea or that life event, is pretty big gap. It's the difference between just being a service provider, someone that they've worked with, or someone that's actually part of their lives. So when we look at the 4 different levels of the client relationship, the first one is service-based. You do the transaction, you do one deal, then nothing. They don't hear from you, you have no follow-up, you get no referrals from that. The second is needs-based, and this is what I was talking about a second ago. This is level 2. This is where most agents are. Your past clients may call you when they need something, whether it's, hey, I'm doing my taxes and I need the closing documents, or hey, I can't find my home warranty information. They give you a call then. Just those little needs things where you're really the only person that can help them out with that, but they don't feel comfortable coming to you for anything else. Level 3 is where most people think that they've made it, but then they feel like still not getting the amount of business from my past clients in sphere like I feel like I should be getting. And this is a common ceiling for most people. Their clients like you, they trust you, but they may not think of you first. And the goal that we're aiming for is this trust-based relationship. This is where we break down those barriers of they can talk to you about any topic, anytime, and you're just their person. You're their real estate person. Referrals become automatic. They know what you can do. They know that they can contact you at any point and you're happy to help. And there's nothing off limits. To get to that point, we have to break this down into a couple of different categories. So I went from the top level of how do we become a trusted agent to what does that actually mean? What are the different levels where most people get stuck? And now we're talking about what are these levels broken down into? If we want to increase trustworthiness, we need to work on the top part of this equation and reduce the bottom part. So trustworthiness is credibility, reliability, and intimacy. The bottom portion, which destroys everything else. So you can have great credibility, you can have amazing reliability and intimacy, but the second they get any sort of hint of self-interest coming from you, it completely destroys all of it. So all of this is divided by self-interest. So the question is, what do we mean by, these fancy buzzwords of credibility, reliability, intimacy? Credibility is, do they believe that you know what you're talking about? These are the things that we generally like to market about ourselves. Market knowledge, some social proof, like testimonials, past client results, all these things. And are you able to convey these things in a way that is easy to understand? The client fear on this is this actually a good agent, or do they just sound confident? So most of us do a pretty good job of marketing these things. A lot of us will do social media marketing of, here are 3 tips for making your home show better, things like that. But that's only hitting one piece of this. Second piece is reliability. And most people don't find out about your reliability until they actually work with you. And the question that needs to be answered here is, can they count on you to show up even when there's no deal? And the way that we start building this more is keeping promises, even if it's just small ones in the beginning. Hey, I'm going to send you this paperwork later today. Make sure you send that paperwork later today. It's not tomorrow morning, because those little things erode on their reliability. You need to follow through and stay in touch in between the times where they think you're obligated to talk to them, or think that you have some self-interest. So it's really just staying in touch in between the times when they have transactions or a referral for you or something like that. The fear that clients have when it comes to reliability is, will they still answer my calls 6 months after closing? The intimacy one is generally the hardest for most agents. And it's the question that needs to be answered is, do they feel safe being honest with you? There's a completely different relationship with agents who are, say, showing homes to someone, and that buyer, whether they feel comfortable enough telling you, hey, this one missed the mark, here's what I don't like about it, compared to someone who says, I'm not sure. Or same thing if you're going in to list their home and, do they feel comfortable pushing back on some of your ideas or sharing some of their thoughts with you without being judged? And this comes from listening to them, taking notes about what matters to them, bringing that back around in conversation, truly just being there for them, being open, being non-judgmental. The fear that your clients have with this is, you can seem nice, but do they feel like you actually care about them? So once you work on all these things, we have to make sure that there is no hint of self-interest. Are you focused on them or on yourself? And the more value that you can give, the more that you can show that you care, the more that you can show that you can listen, the more that you will decrease this aspect of self-interest. And their fear here is, is my agent helping me, or are they just helping themselves to a commission? So this is always good to keep in mind when we're trying to bump up our levels and get to that level 4 is, are we hitting all of these 3 blue ones and reducing the self-interest to as close to 0, if not 0, as you can possibly get? So I know I'm throwing a lot at you, breaking it down into little things, but the core of everything here is three major fears that all clients have. And this is where we really start building what makes you into a trusted agent, is we have to make sure we are answering these three types of fears in our communication and the way that we go through transactions. So again, our goal is trusted agent. Want to get to level 4 where they feel not judged. They can talk to you about any topic at any time, and they feel comfortable referring you at all times. I broke down what trustworthiness is. And what it all leads to is buyer, or the top buyer and seller fears fit into 3 categories. They have financial fears, they have trust and competence fears, and lastly, emotional and life fears. And now these are the things that we can actually answer and be proactive about and make sure that they understand that we hear them when it comes to these things. And when we're answering these fears, this is what allows us to step into different roles rather than just being a real estate agent who does transactions, because it's not just about getting the deal done for buyers and sellers. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes. So this first one, financial fears. This is most likely going to be the biggest financial transactions that any of these clients are going through. So they're afraid of paying too much or selling for not enough. They're afraid of getting stuck in a home that they can't really afford, hitting costs that show up after the deal is done, leaving money on the table when they're selling, and of course, making the biggest financial mistake of their life. The trust variables that this one covers is credibility and self-interest. Obviously, they need to feel like you know what you're talking about, that as a financial advisor, this role that you can step into to help them protect their financial assets, do you have credibility here? Can you help them feel more comfortable and feel like they understand what's going on in here? And obviously, the biggest thing with anything related to finances is the person that I'm working with, do they have a lot of self-interest here? Because obviously, that's the number one thing. Everyone says real estate agents have commission breath. Anything or any business you work with, that's always in the back of your mind. What is their self-interest here? And are they just trying to take money from me? So a couple of things that we write handwritten cards about is wealth snapshot. That's an easy one of help them weigh out their equity, where they're at, kind of where they're sitting. Do they have any moves that they can make to increase their net worth? Helping them protect their financial asset after closing. So knowing that you're not going to disappear after the closing, you can help them by putting them in touch with people that can help maintain their home for a reasonable cost and that are trustworthy. All these little things that make them feel confident to make that move, but then also protect it after closing. The second one is trust and competence fears. And again, this one is really just about, do they actually care about me, or am I just a paycheck? A lot of people don't know if their agent is working for them or just trying to close a deal. They don't want to feel like they're being steered towards something that benefits the agent more than themselves. A big one is they have fears of feeling lost in the process. We do this day in, day out. They do this maybe a couple times in their life. So there's a big question mark when it comes around to the process, and do they actually understand what's happening, or are they going to feel out of the loop? Again, a lot of people fear signing something that they don't fully understand. And again, a lot of people feel the whole process of real estate is designed in a way to confuse them. So how do we dissuade or dismantle some of these trust and competence fears? Some roles we need to take on. Great one is a networker or connector. Another great one is just being a human being, explaining things to them in a way that they understand. Uh, these fears are not dissolved by expertise. People don't want to know every aspect of what it is that we do and how we read contracts and things like that. They're not wanting to get an education in that. What they are wanting is intimacy. They want to know that they can come to you and not be judged. So a couple of things, like I said, being a networker, connector, connect them with good people. Make sure that they feel like they have a good support system around them. Another great one would be helping them understand that everything that they're, I guess when we're talking about home valuations or finding a home, that maybe you're able to bust a myth on how some of these things are happening, whether it's like a Zillow estimate or finding a home off market before it hits the market. So just these little things of, can you go the extra mile a little bit? Can you show that you are there for them and do the things that aren't directly leading to you getting paid? And the last one is emotional and life fears. The question that they have is, will they still be there when things get complicated? And I also refer to this one as regret fears. So regret of picking the wrong neighborhood and wishing that they hadn't, missing out on a better home that they just didn't see, going through this whole process for something that falls apart or that they wish they didn't do, a deal falling through, all these things that sit in the back of their mind of, should we actually do this? Should we step into the unknown? And the role that we need to take on in this scenario is the protector. So again, with this one, this is going to be a reliability thing, as well as intimacy, but a little bit more so on the reliability side of, are we going to be there when the transaction isn't actually in play? Because most of these fears are happening before they decide to work with you, before they decide to refer you if there's someone that hasn't worked with you before. So the question that they're asking themselves is this person reliable? And a couple of things that we can do there is helping them feel like they're protected before and after. Even if you didn't sell them their house, getting them information on how you show up for people, having some social proof. So just having a couple different ways that you can dismantle this fear. Cool. So that's all I wanted to run through at this point. And if you want, I don't mind sharing this document with you.